Ha ha ha. Hi everyone. Diane. Hey Sarah, nice to see you here. Hi everyone. It is 27 degrees and sunny. Now I'm hoping this stream is going to do better than the other day. So hi everyone. Shalom. Nice to see you all here. I wanted to come and do this a little bit of a trip for a few reasons because I wanted to it's hi Harriet. There's Harriet the traveler. Hey Harriet, nice to see you. I am in Paris. Bonjour. It is lovely. Hello, Rose. Bonjour. So I am in Paris as I gather now. if if it cuts out again, I'm trying Streamlabs because it's working so well at home. So we'll just make sure, hopefully, that it comes through for us here. Hi, Robin. Nice to see you there. Lovely to have you. I realize this is a little last minute visit, but I was on the train today. But I am in a very. I have not been back. I was trying to work out when I was last in Paris because I was last here with Finn. So I'm thrilled to have you all here. Can I just check that everyone is hearing me just fine? By the way, I just wear these glasses because it makes me look sort of older. Um, oh, there we are. There we are. If it cuts out, distinguish. Oh, good. In and out, yeah. It shouldn't be. I mean, I'm back to the 30 frames. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I apparently cannot stand right there. So if it really does cut out, then I will just put it on. But I literally have my luggage with me here. See this? I literally have my luggage. But let me show you where I am, everyone, because I am in the 10th district. So I arrived into the Gare du Nord. Hi, Chloe. Nice to see you here. I arrived into the Gare du Nord. It was a little less than 4 hours straight down from Amsterdam. Gorgeous, gorgeous day. And I could have, in the old world, I could have taken a boat all the way here from Amsterdam. So how cool is that? So this is springtime in Paris. These are the locks that come right down. Hi, Natalie. The locks that come right down through the middle of the city. Um, so I came in. Hi, Ginny. Nice to see you. Lovely to see you. It is gorgeous. So I'm about a 10-minute walk from the Gare du Nord. But why did I bring you all over here? So I had a plan to come to this red boulangerie on the corner and get myself a very specific sandwich. I'm not going to tell you what sandwich it was for all my friends who are vegetarian. But it clearly is closed. And so that disappointed me. That's why I started a couple of minutes late because I went up the road and just had a sandwich in one of the cafes. But I eat about 5 times a day when I'm here in Paris, and I have small portions because I just love them so much. But what I wanted to tell everyone is when Finn was 2 years and 3 months old or something, we actually lived on the third floor of that building right there. So the last time I came over here with Finn, we got off the train from London, and I walked over here, and I wanted to see. Oh, there's some. Yeah, yes, definitely some good. That's true. Um, and I wanted to see if Finn was triggered any memories, and he didn't remember any of it. So that's interesting. But yeah, we lived up on the third floor of that building right there. Isn't that cool? So it is fun. I was doing a master's degree here, and it was just sort of a year-long sabbatical. So I just thought, what a nice place to come on this gorgeous weekend. They used to close the canal on Sundays, and apparently now they've cut off traffic on here all the time. Gentleman was just was telling me that there's tons of construction going on in Paris because, of course, they're going to have the 2024 Olympics. So that's kind of exciting. But there's bistrot au fil du vin. Do you know the origin of bistro, by the way? I don't know if you do, but it's actually Russian for quick. And it's when the Russians had occupied the city, they would say bistro, bistro, bring us our food quickly. So interesting. Um, so it's, yeah, hello, bonjour. So here we are walking down the canals. So I'm about 2.5, maybe 3 kilometers from where my hotel is. And I thought I would just walk there because I'm already so hot. Say it's about 27 degrees out here right now. So I do have some sunscreen on. But so in terms of the rest of the day, I'm actually giving a private tour this afternoon, but it was at the Banff Hospital fundraiser. And so I had just donated it, and so someone's asked for a tour in Paris, which is fun. And then I am going to my cousin's house for dinner. So I only have two first cousins on planet Earth, and one of them lives here in Paris. And she grew up in New Zealand, and she lives here on an Irish passport. So how cool is that? So I'm very, very excited. And then I have people arriving tomorrow, and we're having a very special 9-day tour out here. But this is what it feels like on a lovely, sunny Sunday. And a bit, as it'll be recorded, across the street there's some people playing basketball. Of course, this is the densest city in Europe by far, right? It is, so it depends where you draw the line around it. So Paris itself is, with the 20 districts and the circle around it, the périphérique, the road, is only about 2.5 million people. But Île-de-France, so Greater Paris, is about 10 or 10.5 million people. So it is the biggest urban conglomeration in Europe. And whilst there are green spaces, it is a very dense city that way. And so, this is Harriet. Uganda's 2017. This is humid as well. So obviously, one of the world's great capitals, sort of, for better. Okay. I didn't know she was telling me something, but I didn't understand what she was saying. But we'll wander along, and then we'll cut on in. And I just thought it'd be fun to take everyone for a little bit of a walk in this gorgeous city. Now, I know that those of you who are connected to the old Hago family are aware that there are a couple of brilliant guides here, both Patrick and Florent, but I have so little free time that I don't think I'll be able to do any Hago socializing. But it's nice to be back. So I'm going to have a couple of nights here in Paris, and then I'm going to be out at Normandy. And of course, you know that I put up Le Mont Saint-Michel. If you're unfamiliar with Le Mont Saint-Michel, that is a monastery site that becomes an island twice a day as the tide comes in and out. So it is one of the just indisputably most beautiful places, I think, anywhere in Europe. So this is just lovely to see. But I think I'll go up to one more corner, and then we'll turn in and talk a little bit about, of course, Parisian architecture. But I'm just out of interest. Has everyone been into Paris who's on here? I don't think Harriet's been to Paris. I'd be darned. But Paris is fun. There's a nice wind. I'm glad it's behind me. So it's actually very windy. So that's sort of nice and refreshing, I must admit. And then you have all of these. Were you with Florent yesterday? I will send him a nice friendly message. But as I say, I'm just my time is quite tight here. And do remember, of course, you hang out in this huge urban environment with me here, and then by the time I'm home in 2 weeks, I will be out in the wilds of nature for a long time. These nice little gardens over here, and everyone, being that it's a Sunday, are out enjoying the gardens. I do love the food here, and I love the bread. Is it Cindy? Oh, that's lovely even here. So I lived here when I was 19 years old. I actually went to the Sorbonne for a year and studied history. And then I was here again as a slightly older person. But I've been running tours, of course, here because I spent 7 years guiding tours around Europe. So that's kind of my connection to it. But it was interesting because when I lived here, I find Paris much cleaner now. And in a really positive way, in my opinion. When I lived here way back when, I remember they used to even smoke cigarettes on the metro. Can you imagine? Do you know you're never more than about 50 meters from a metro station when you're here? Although, when I was last living here, I just used these Velibs, these shared bicycles everywhere. And I can make it across the city in about 20 minutes on the bike. That's how small and dense it is. Pretty neat. So why don't we curve down here? We're going to come down through these side streets here. And I'm sort of heading, my hotel tonight is down by Ile-la-Cité. And I'm staying just because my cousin lives in the Saint-Germain-des-Prés, which is a pretty neat area. So we'll be, so I just picked a hotel, the cheapest one I could find in that general area. And then I'll be staying right by the Opera the next day. This is what I do find always a little bit shocking in Paris, of course, is the amount of graffiti. Now, do you know that the famous floor, the best floor to live on if you live in Paris, they always say is the third floor, l'étage noble. You might be familiar with that. And historically, when they rebuilt the city, when Haussmann really rebuilt the city, if you were down on the ground level, Of course, you didn't have as many stairs, but you had all the smells, of course, horse-drawn carriages. And then if you're at the top, it was too far to climb up. And so I always thought the third floor was kind of the best balance between all the different places you could live. Now, needless to say, Paris is the heart and soul of France in so many ways. Right? This is as a country, this is an incredibly centralized government. Basically, you have the government here in Paris, and then you have mayors and very little in between. I do love these little grocery stores. There's just so much yummy, yummy food. I do know that people who are vegetarians sometimes struggle a bit in France. Although as long as you have, did you, Robin? That's nice. Um, yeah, so I will be going up, of course, to Montmartre, probably day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, when my visitors arrive, we're going to go out for a walk, and I'll take them out to Place la Concorde, as there's two young people coming who've never been here before, and so we'll be, going to see some of those sites. But it looks like it's going to be warm now, long term. You're absolutely right. There's lots of fresh products, and that does make a big difference. And I never find France really terribly expensive either. Well, of course, where I live, everything's expensive, so I don't find it terribly expensive. I'm just trying to decide which way. I'm going to stick to walking down the street here. I know it's not as ideal. There's always bread and cheese, Chloe. Absolutely. And a gentleman on a flight recently told me that there's actually more varieties of cheese in the UK than there are in France. Now, I have to Google that to understand if that's actually a true statement or not. But you do see, how dense the city is. But because, in my mind, it's such an easy city to walk. What I do find interesting about Paris, though, is the climate is so a little too cold in the winter and a little too hot in summer. Look at this fabulous mural here. The Gouvet. So we're still in the 10th. So the 10th arrondissement here, the 10th district. This is kind of has been for years now, kind of the up and coming. Oh, sorry, you're going to hear siren, which echo everywhere. But lots of fun restaurants down through this area here. But yeah, those echoes make so much noise. There's the Kindred Club. They start. Hi, Richard. Nice to see you. Hi there. Everyone is joining on. I'm sorry if I miss people, just simply because I am walking, carrying my luggage. So this is literally how I'm traveling right now. But I just thought it's fun and I must admit I wanted to test the signal because for some peculiar reason I had reception issues yesterday in Amsterdam. Although Mark was saying that he thinks that their 5G is a little unstable there. So, but I don't know how to alter that on this on my iPhone. Look at these Café Le Bistro. And I just wish, whenever I'm here, I just wish I could be hungry all the time because I just love the taste of just about everything. Ginny, it's interesting. It's when I switched my platform with my website, I did actually have a whole page about how to pack, and I lost it somehow. So I'm going to have to write it again. But the best piece of advice I've ever had when it comes to travel is they say pack the bare minimum and then take out a third. And so often that's the case. I did actually, I'm wearing a new t-shirt. I picked up a t-shirt yesterday because it was just warmer than I had expected. And it's so easy to do that. By the way, you'll see the pharmacies all around and then the M for the metro. But let's cut down from here. I love to test myself too when I come back to a city like this, if I can walk to exactly where I'm getting without ever checking any maps or anything. So, Ginny, are you having nice weather over in the UK right now? Because it certainly is gorgeous all through the Low Countries. I mean, it was just sunny coming down. It was fun coming down through Brussels. Oh, how I wanted to get off the train. I really enjoyed Brussels as a city. So here's big Magenta Boulevard out here. Diana. That's it's interesting. I'm glad that it's gorgeous for you. Of course, the challenge at home is, of course, we've had forest fires. I am going to have to get back on TikTok today because we have elections in Alberta, and it's an election that I really care a lot about. I'm not going to bore you all with it, but of course, these great streets. This is when Haussmann rebuilt this city after they had so many uprisings through here. So it is now a city of big boulevards. oddly enough, it's actually quite easy to drive in Paris. So I'm picking up a vehicle in a couple of days' time, but a big van. And but there's so many strict rules about where you can drive to that basically you just get out of the city as fast as you can, and uh, and that'll make a difference. I'm interested in how many of the signs are now advertising their food in English. That's not something. Um, I voted in advance, Tina. Yeah, I was able to vote on the 23rd, so I voted. The early voting started the day I flew away. I actually had adjusted my flight so that I'd be able to vote. That's how much I care about it. Um, and uh, and yeah, so it's not particularly looking good for the party I support, but so be it. I try my best to always stand up against radical movements, so it's pretty important, I think. But down here, for those of you who have spent a lot of time in Paris, I hope you're noticing just how clean it's just the bit of graffiti, particularly on a Sunday, right? And there's apparently code to a lot of the graffiti. I don't understand it at all, but there's specific codes of what it all means and that sort of thing. But if you get past that and you look at these upper buildings, so here's the Chateau d'Eau. Aren't these just gorgeous? Hi, Steve. Um, oh, hi, Steve. Well, thanks. Thanks for remembering your Rockies trip with me. This is kind of the exact opposite of the Rockies, I would say, as I am in Paris right now. But it's so nice of you to join in. Thanks, Steve. Lovely to see you here. It's I more or less love everywhere in the world. I'm obviously a very outdoorsy person, so a few days in a big city is kind of my sort of where I put a camp on it. I'm just going to go past a gorgeous little puppy there. And we'll wander through. But we're already really in the heart of Paris already, which is pretty cool. I might switch arms in a minute here so I can pull my luggage with the other arm. But it's so I didn't see what you said there, Ruth. That loose dog. Yeah. It's isn't it a lovely location for Sunday stroll? I mean, walking along the canal is just so lovely, and check-in for my hotel opens at 3, so this was all kind of timed out, you see, that I'd wander down and get checked in and get myself a little organized, and then go out and say I'm going to be doing a private here this afternoon. But the elections, yeah, it's a tough one. But it is interesting being back here. Now, one of the interesting things I like to talk about in France, though, because I'm going to be going out to Normandy and Brittany. Of course, out in Brittany, La Breton, they have their own language, which is closely related to the Cornish language, and it's only spoken by about 3% of the people. But why my French is the French that I speak is because Canada has the oldest French that's still spoken. So when there were only 10,000 people ever moved from France to what became l'Acadie and Quebec, Nouvelle-France, and they came over. And in France, only about 2 in 5 people spoke a consistent French because they spoke Occitan or Provincial or Basque, totally different languages. But when they came to what is Turtle Island or North America, then they actually spoke Royal French. And so that's why our French is kind of considered different. This looks really nice down here. Let's go down here for a second, everyone. It was nearly in China. And that's the kind of connection that we have. So I find like coming back here as a French-speaking Canadian, the welcome is very, very warm. And just, they did have some tough times a little bit earlier this year because there was a lot of, did I bounce out again? I'm sorry, everyone. I was just telling you the meaning of life, and I unfortunately can't repeat it at all anymore. So if I bounced out while I was giving you the meaning of life, I'm sorry that you've missed that now. But we're by Boulevard Saint-Martin, and I just feel like we have to come over. Is this house? It is. It's Johann Strauss right there. Look at that. Pretty neat to see. Hi, Janet. Big hug. So if I was cutting out, what I was actually honestly just explaining was the origin of the French we speak in Canada, which is considered old Royal French, whereas after the Revolution in France, then Parisian French took over. And then they centralized their government so much here. So, different kind of structure. But of course, all us Canadians, not all, but a huge number of Canadians, of course, speak French as much as they speak English. But, we have an accent, but that's okay. It's part of the fun. Nice to have accents. And I think it adds a lot to who we are. You get some of this kind of functionalist architecture like we see on the right here, going back to sort of the 60s and 70s, which is a little bit unappealing. It's really the graffiti that's the least appealing part. But once you look past that, then so much more of the city is just gorgeous. Now, Paris gets its name from a Celtic tribe, the Parisii. So this was a Celtic city in the early days. If you want to just depress yourself at some point in your life, just watch like a 10-minute or a 15-minute YouTube history of Paris, and you'll realize how many different plagues and things occurred in the city. And that is because, of course, it's always been this incredibly dense living environment, right? So obviously these were old walled cities for much of their history. And, and whilst the history of war is always a kind of awkward thing to deal with, they would be under sieges for huge periods of time, and people would starve, and then disease would spread. So I can guarantee it's a much nicer place to live now. And I can certainly say, as I say, in my lifetime, I was living here at age 19, it was still, I mean, I always liked the people here. I don't buy in ever that idea that people aren't nice, but that's true the world over. Do you know what? That's one of my favorite jokes, actually. When people say, you know, I'm moving, pick your city, right? And I'm moving to wherever. I say, what are the people like? I say, well, how did you find them in the last place you went to? You know, I just found the last few days in Amsterdam, I found the Dutch just so friendly. And of course, it was beautiful weather. Sorry, I'm just going to get my bag as I go down the stairs here. So it always plays a bit of a role. So, there's the Lion King up there. But, does anyone have any questions? I'm in the shade, I can actually see what you're typing a bit better. I certainly appreciate everyone hopping on and saying hi to me in such short notice. It's lovely to connect with all of you. I think our reception, I think we had one little shaky bit, and I think we're doing really well now. So that's awfully nice. Le Roi Lion, c'est ça. So I will, I'll see you the next couple of days if I can quickly put up another YouTube visit at some point. Ooh, there's a Mozart Requiem. It is lovely. When you're in these big, of course, world capitals, there's so much going on always culturally. Oh, and here is from the inner, I remember this. See, there's an arch up here. These were the inner walls of the older city. By the way, these public washrooms are just awful. And the doors come open after 15 minutes. So make sure you never go in too long. But this was all a walled section. Once upon a time through here. I could carry on down here and I could make it to Opera. I could make it just about everywhere. But isn't it nice to see the leafy streets out here? So nice to see that. But this is what the walled cities were like for so much of their history. Which of course, I know we would have felt safe, I guess, but it wouldn't have been that much fun. And then if I were to carry on down this boulevard, Saint-Martin, I could get all the way to Opera and Madeleine. But instead, I'm heading down by City Hall and in La Cité because that's where my hotel is. So it's just nice to share this with everyone. It is genuinely like hot and bright. I'm having trouble even seeing the screen because it's so hot. I think this might be one of those big world capitals that might be one of the first ones to extricate private vehicles altogether. You'll always need delivery vehicles and that sort of thing in a city this size, but they made it so much of it walkable, much more walkable than it used to be. Oh, the gorgeous buildings right there. You always feel that Haussmann architecture, which is just so endemic to the area. But I'm making my day down towards the Seine, so I'm obviously on the north side of the River Seine, which flows through here, and then on the south side is where you have the old artist area, but that's certainly been gentrified. Hi there, Christelle. Hi there. What's the name of your? Oh, good question. I'll have to look it up. I booked it on Expedia. It's I think it's Citadel, Stadzel Saint-Germain-des-Prés. Yeah, it's that's my hotel just for one night, and literally I will be going over to my cousin's place, and I'm really, really excited to meet her partner because I don't know him, but I gather, well, certainly hope I enjoy him immensely. So, and I believe he has a daughter as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting her. Look at this. La tour dépendante de l'enceinte fortifiée. This is all talking about the early fortifications. Applied science. And here is the National Conservatory of the Arts and Study. Pretty fantastic. See, on every corner you find something just fascinating here. And of course, France is a long, rich culture. I don't know if anyone's been down to Rocamadour, down in the southwest of France, but that's where the first kings of France were buried. I love these signs around there. They're all getting a little bit worn, but here is the history of Paris right down here. Oh, well, you know, Rose, I wouldn't mind being frozen, to be honest, because it's a little hot for me, and I don't feel like I should be whining about the temperature, but it is awfully hot for me. It is showing that. I wonder when I get by these big buildings if they actually have some kind of a blocking mechanism. Because I do remember that in London, and Natalie told me that they often have troubles right around Kensington Palace. I do actually have to wipe my face though, because silliest thing, I think I just walked through a spider web somewhere. So hopefully you don't see a spider web on me. Hi, nice to see you there. Lovely to see you. But let's carry on just a little bit more, everyone. And and then I will pack everything away. There is the French Federation of Artists. That's a pretty cool thing to be. Look at this lovely architecture down here. So maybe day after tomorrow we might be going to the Louvre. Obviously I wouldn't go into the Louvre and stream anything, but maybe while my guests are in the Louvre, maybe I'll come out and stream something for you, which see Les Halles. So when I get to Les Halles, then I'm just across the way from Ile-la-Cité, and then I get to cross over the Seine from there. So pretty neat to see. And for everyone, hi Karen. No, thank you. Sorry, you lived in a village of Cyprus, did you, Karen? I didn't know that. Ah, mais super. Ça fait plaisir de vous amener ici. By the way, I've been contacted by a lot of people lately about my trip to Croatia, and I think it's actually full. I'll have to do the final numbers on that one. But I haven't been back here. So I brought Finn over here for just 2 days about 5 or 6 years ago. And that was so much fun. And but it was interesting for Finn. Like you arrive in the Gare du Nord where I arrived today, and you do have quite a lot of people in that area who are, a little bit down and out. And I think that was quite shocking to him at the time. But there's such fun areas around as well. So it is neat. But I think that's lovely, Karen, that you lived over here. It's odd, I've traveled through most of France. I love Brittany, where I'm going on this trip. Love Brittany. Love the architecture. Love the food. Really love everything about it. But also, if I could go for a week of just food, I would go to the Dordogne in the southwest, and that's again where Rocamadour is, Sarlat. Really the birth of France as we know it, and that is of course also where Cognac is and all those areas. So I must admit that I get on extremely well with French food. Some people don't, but it's definitely high up on my kind of favorite food scale. And so that's why I was busy at home doing a detox before I came here. It's just the right move. So I'm going to keep heading up. It looks like I've got some festivities on maybe for Sundays. So I'm going to come over to the shade, ladies and gentlemen. And it's I am getting a little tired here. I can make it up to Galerie Lafayette that direction. But I might just come over here in the shade, and I might pack the gimbal away before I get into really busy areas. I don't want to create any temptation. Now, I'm not afraid at all when I'm in the city. But I just want to say, hey, merci beaucoup d'avoir venu ici avec moi à Paris. Thank you for coming for a nice walk, ladies and gentlemen. It's my signal is bouncing around just a little bit right now. So everyone's here. Oh, there we are. We're back on. Well, listen, peace and love to everyone. Let me just tell you though, if you happen to be hearing anything I'm saying, because I see it bouncing around, it's so bright I can't really see it. I do want to tell you about. You're very welcome, Robin. About my very first adult experience when I'm just going to do this. I'm going to say hugs to everyone. Um, there we go. See if that shows up. But I want to tell you all about my very first experience when I was living here once upon a time. So I was living with a young lady. Well, we met